what a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Chocolate Saying, Paul Hall and 10th Man in G+, along with a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yo, yo, yo from Australia.
Hello.
Yo, yo.
G'day, g'day, g'day.
Hey Rams, hey Roscoe, hey everyone else in Discord. Very good to have you all. Quick shout out. Someone else has donated after I've achieved my target in the Patreon. There's been several anonymous donors, and along with Michael, who's been a long time contributor for me. So thank you very much indeed, Michael, for chucking more money my GoFundMe way. I will use that money hopefully to upgrade the device, so I'll buy a better one, hopefully with more memory, and I won't have to archive things all the time. So thank you very much for contributing to that campaign. I will leave it open, although I won't promote it. I'll close it the moment they actually announce that there's a new iPad out, so I don't feel the need to give any more updates. Maybe if somebody else gives me extra money, I will shout them out like I've done with Michael, but as I say, I will close it the moment they announce the new iPad's out. In the meantime, on a more important note, any evidence of a physical geometric Earth curve edge?
Ooh. Well, maybe,
Hey,
but
Owen.
not of the Earth, Ben.
Not of the Earth-based physical geometry-based variety. No, definitely not. What about any signs of Earth curve?
Not from South Pasadena.
Hey, Discord
Sure, the
server.
geometrical orientation is flat.
Even if it's mostly flat earthers in there, debaters on your travels, any signs of Earth curvature? Any new claims you've come across?
No, nothing at all. West Wales is flat as a pancake.
Nobody's
Not
telling you
from-
how curvy it is in your local pub or whatever? No? Any signs of axial rotation?
No.
I don't know, it's got to be a globe in order to have an axis to spin around in the first place. So, I don't think so.
So if Earth was spinning, it would demonstrate a Coriolis deviation for anything that left the non-inertial spinning claimed to be spinning Earth reference frame. We do not observe any deviation from things that leave the non-inertial claim to be spinning Earth reference frame because Earth is not spinning. In other words, we'd have to have a Coriolis effect if Earth was spinning, and we don't. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No, but I've got a contradiction I found, came up in Discord yesterday. The discussion came up whether gravity is a push or pull force, and Danik kept pushing that it's actually a pulling force, which means things are being pulled towards other objects. Well, that's contradictory because Einstein said it's a pushing force. It's not a pulling force. So we've got two contradictory statements either, and I know it's not a force to begin with, so that's a neat point. But just in that paradigm, there's two, obviously Lily decides to scream in the background. So So there's a contradictory statement there. So Newton is a pulling force. Einstein is a pushing force. So you can't have ain't that the law to violate the law of non-contradiction somewhere?
Yeah, definitely. But to quote Brian Cox, quote, "Gravity is not really a force at all," end quote.
Well,
We got that
there,
right.
there goes the saying, push comes to shove. It's over.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? Tumbleweed from Rams.
The black swan.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Yeah, it's over there.
Any evidence of a molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Nope. Just pictures.
Stuck one on my
No
thumbnail.
evidence.
So I thought, as Professor Dave has got a bazillion subscribers, I'll produce a decent thumbnail for the section where we covered his 10 challenges. And what my backdrop is a Amazon or somewhere similar, Alibaba probably, globe where you can take out a chunk of it. Hey Adam, by the way, and see the core in the middle of your, domestic lamp globe. So I took that as the backdrop, and then over the top of that I put the actual definition of a reification fallacy, and then over the top of that I put Professor, in quotes, Dave. That was my thumbnail for I chunked out yesterday's show where it was a good solid 40 minutes. I didn't realise it was as long dealing with him, but there we go. So check it out. I think I've called it 10 fallacies or something like that, 10 reifications. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
It's gone missing.
There are signs of the R value that has gotten destroyed. Yeah, that R value, sure. Maybe they have another one to fall back on. I'm not too sure.
Is this the R value that changes based on atmospheric conditions?
Can't change the geometric R value.
Can only try to change optics in order to make things work out.
Not geometry.
Well, I mean, at best, or you've just disproved the radius. At best,
That's
Who's
brilliant,
that
isn't
again?
it? What a great line.
What's his name?
Professor
that
Clown.
again?
Oh, Dr. Sensible.
Was it Dr. Sensible or Mr. Sensible? Or
Professor Clown.
Dr. Clown? Yes, Dr. Clown.
At best, you've disproved radius. I like his, when people slip in with a few weasel words, I listened to it again. And you got Mitchell from Australia going, right, so if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959, and then Mr. Sensible, yes, I agree. Then every distance to horizon measurement must be no more than, yes, I agree. So he's agreeing and agreeing and agreeing. And then his statement at the end is, well, if all of that is true, everything that you just agreed with completely, then you've disproved radius. It's just great. I love that. I love how in his mind he thinks he's delivering a really award-winning defense.
Yeah, I agree.
That was great.
It's a pinnacle of compartmentalized thinking. It's brilliant.
It is perfect.
So apparently he's not on the same page as the other ballers when they say that the Q is a straw man. Apparently he agrees with it.
That's because it's a factual statement based on the geometry they lay out for their model. I love it when they say it's a straw man. What? Your geometry? Yeah, we agree. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Yeah, that was Chris MCM. Literally, quote for quote, the geometric horizon is a straw man.
Well, that marked with an X, labelled horizon in their model based on the R value geometric horizon is a straw man, according to Chris. Yeah, these people are complete clowns. I love it. Right, last but by no means least, any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
How would you test that?
Nah.
How would you even be able to falsify that?
You couldn't. It's a violation of natural law, Arwin. It's an impossible
Right.
thing to achieve. Gas fills the space. If the sky was a vacuum, the gas we're breathing would vacate and fill that available volume. The second law of thermodynamics. The gas would fill the space.
According to them, that gas needs to escape in order to see the geometric horizon, because the only way you could see this without an atmosphere.
So
Hello.
are they secretly hoping that one day the gas will give up and vent off in space so the Earth can look more like the globe it really is to them?
Sure.
I think so, Arwin.
The debate 1111 for our bullshit nonsense about sentient gas particles burning their bras and defying gas law. Hey, Sleeping Warrior.
Hey,
Hey.
Danny.
All right.
can we have one housekeeping question just for the next few weeks? Is there any evidence of anybody dying from flu,
No,
particularly beginning with
Nothing to do
COVID?
with Planet Earth.
no, let's not.
Oh,
What is it with you in this bloody flu thing?
Riley,
It's the second time
you need
in
to
a row.
get over this infection of
Get
the
over it.
mind.
it's the incubation period. It's
This
taking-
is flat Earth debate.
Yeah,
No, stop
infection
it.
of the mind. It seems like you caught the virus.
Stop it.
The virus is mental. I'm
I've had it
serious.
3 times
Hello?
this week, Arwin.
Flat Earth debate.
Bar humbug.
Not fear porn debate.
All right, there are other channels are available.
Exactly. Other channels are available. From what I understand, Ranty's covering this at the moment. Go and check out Ranty. Go and watch Ranty. Clearly, you're into Ranty's stuff at the moment. Go and watch him. He's covering that. More power to him, too.
Really?
Yeah, more power to him if he's successful doing it. I encourage everybody who's a YouTuber. The wankers who come along and say, I want to report this, that, and the other person, or whatever, even give them a thumbs down. It's like, well, why? Just move on. If you don't like them that much, move on. But it doesn't mean I want to discourage people from having success on YouTube. It's your own little bubble. YouTube. So this is, for me, MeTube. This is my bit. And, you know, if you don't like my bit, go away. If you do like it, great. Wonderful. Enjoy the show. But do I want to go outside of my bubble and start popping other people's bubbles? No, definitely not. More power to everyone on YouTube. I hope everyone is successful. If you put in the work, I hope you do well. Same goes for the Globe Trolls. Everybody who opposes us. Wolfie, Sly, all of those people. Mad props, right? So Sly, 5 years ago, or however long it was one of my very, very first commenters. Globe Troll. Now, he trolled me and told me I was wrong. But what I encouraged him to do is make videos. I was like, you're just a nobody in my comment section. Go and make videos. Make me a video response. And he did. More power to him. That's why I say he's my favourite. Because he got off his ass and started making a few videos. Now he's out doing experiments. We won't get into that, maybe. He doesn't know what a hypothesis is, but that's not a point. As a videographer, he's got off his ass and done videos. And I applaud him and anybody else who does the same. I hope I get it returned. It's kind of like paying it forward. I want to put out what I want back. If I want people to support me rather than completely knock me, then that's what you got to put out, right? So I encourage every YouTuber, friend or foe, just go out and make videos. That's what it's all about. The more content you put out there, the better it is for me, the better it is for everyone watching. So let's all encourage each other. Kumbaya. Kumbaya, my lord.
Yeah, although, Nathan,
Sorry?
you're pretty well covered concerning YouTube, I think. As in, you really got your place now, and you did so much work for the show and all the advertising, and you did a lot of work here. But
Are you fishing
YouTube,
for a
at the
shout
same
out?
time,
Just
we have
say.
to keep in mind they don't have unlimited space, so they're probably just gonna gradually force people to make it more worth the server space that they're basically offering for all their videos. 'Cause they have to, or they'll crash financially.
Really?
'Cause-
Is that?
Yeah,
I mean,
do
that
you
is-
know how much server space YouTube actually provides. It's insane.
Yeah, it's massive. I know. It's one of the comments I don't necessarily do it in recent times, but I've certainly left this plenty of times. So you go to some troll, and of course you just check out the channel. Well, what are you doing? Let's see what you're up to. And often you'll come across some people that produce a string of videos that are often lengthy, and they've got 1 or 2 views, or under 10 views, and you're like, this is a waste of server space. Why is this even here? Nobody's watching this. But yeah, people keep producing them hour after hour after hour of garbage content that nobody's watching. Like, why are you wasting your time? This is just literally chewing up money for YouTube in their server space.
Right. Well, it is probably because, YouTube, Google, it is so massive, it is so big and so powerful with so much data going through it. It can choose because of the preponderance of all its data and all its power, just to say, okay, I'm gonna push more people to waste more server space so I can eventually kind of politically abuse it to then move the people out of the way that the ones really at the levers of this giant corporation want out of the way. So this is kind of a potential, not saying guaranteed, but potential long-term danger. Like, for example, why my channel, despite me being relatively well-known, has so little views, so little subscribers. So they may at some point just say, oh, he's not good enough. He had so much videos. He's such a waste of space. We're just going to delete you now. Yeah, I know you're super popular, but the statistics say it's not, and we don't like you. And in a way, this is kind of already happening in small ways. I'm just comparing it to my own channel now. So,
well, they've already done that in financial terms. So, they changed the rules so that if you had less than 4,000 watch time hours over the course of a year, and you had less than 1,000 subscribers, then you weren't eligible for monetization. So they just said, in other words, if you're not popular enough, you're not getting enough watch time, then you're not going to have a slice of the earnings that come from material production. And don't get me wrong, Arwin, they're definitely into you making videos. They want more from you, trust me. They want you to make them till you burn out completely and are replaced by someone else.
Oh, yeah. But which layer does want that? Is that just the people that really like the company? Or is that the people on top that are actually playing political games with the company? And that is what I mean.
You'd be thinking in both specific and broad terms at the same time. On a general scale, they want everyone to produce more content. End of story. Obviously, at the next layer, they want it to be quality content of a good, decent length. Not too long, not too short, all that stuff. But ultimately speaking, they want as much content as possible. In terms of the way the structure's laid out now, who will go to the top of the pile if you're just doing a cursory search? Well, not us. And they've made that overtly clear. Not us. So do we get promoted? No. If I look at my stats, again, a couple of years ago, I did an advert saying, hang on, look, right, at least 50% of the people watching my videos aren't subscribed. So subscribe today. Now I look at my stats and it's like 80% of the people watching are subscribed. So what does that tell you? I've got excellent statistics. On the second channel, my watch time is well over a half an hour period. Given that there's lots of long videos on there, people are watching them all the way through. Obviously, that's going to be slightly tarnished by people who just come and disappear immediately. But by the same token, the people who do come along and watch for a very long period, which gives me fantastic stats, fantastic views, all the things you'd want. And then you look at subscribed versus non-subscribed and go, my videos aren't reaching anybody new. The people who are watching watch and are very keen to watch and will watch for a long period and like the videos and watch a lot of the videos. But does it reach a new target audience every day? Will I get a viral video? No. That's
because the show is not really hype. It's more a show, and when you get to like it, people start to watch every time.
Sure, but if you watch videos from people who talk about how they've succeeded or when they've done well on YouTube with their financial circumstances, so there's a couple of people out there that have literally made videos that show how they've built up and suddenly had a successful video and what it paid them. And if you look at those videos, typically you'll find that those videographers have been promoted. So one of their videos will have suddenly gone out in the home pages to lots of new people, because it's, caught a bit of attention, and YouTube will promote it as a result. So that means that they pick up a whole bunch of new subscribers, and so it continues. You get that big surge of growth as a result of that. Whereas for me and anybody else in this community, right from the top echelons of Jeranisms and Eric DeBays with much more subscribers, down to people like you and I, and we are both, you and I, Arwin, at the same other end of the scale. We're not at hundreds of thousands of subscribers, we're at thousands of subscribers. So for us,
have 1,500.
Just let me make a point, Arwin. For us, it's about being shared. In other words, if you are a subscriber to Arwin and you enjoy watching Arwin, the only way Arwin will grow is if you tell next man, I enjoy this channel. Because it's not going to be done by the algorithm on our behalf. It's not just generally going to reach some random Joe who might think, oh, I'll check that out and see if I like it. It's purely by recommendation. So when I'm in the after show watching, all I do all show is go, please share, please share, please share, please share. Have you shared? Did any of you share? Has anybody actually shared yet? Oh, it's up to 300 watching now. Thank you for sharing. Well, on the live show. But my point is, unless people are sharing, there's no growth for us in this community.
Right. Yeah, I asked that people share my show at the beginning and end of every show now. But I don't know where they're actually sharing it. I think I'm being shared on Facebook here and there, but I don't really know. I just leave it to them, because it's all like people that like me. I think they do realize that I am not suitable for everyone. So
why not? What are you talking about? Don't run. Oh, stop that. Right, don't run yourself down. Arwin's Ace. Go and subscribe to Arwin. ARWIJ. And he runs Early Bird every single day. Don't run yourself down. You've got a good show. What are you talking about?
Thank you. But I don't mean concerning Flat Earth, rather my personal character, I know my arguments are good and all that.
Okay, fine, I'll disclaim that. I mean, obviously Arwin's a complete dick, but you should still go and subscribe to him.
Okay.
But if you want to run yourself down, I'll join in, and it becomes laughable. You're a good guy. You've got a good show.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that's
please
why
do
I'm keen to
subscribe to my channel. Yeah,
I'm keen to share people like you, Arwin, and other people, because I've got a slightly bigger channel. So I'm slightly more likely to actually encourage somebody to go over and subscribe to you, or BLMSB69, or whoever, Taboo Conspiracy, Globebusters, anybody you're mentioning, because that's what it's all about for me. Getting people to actually go and experience other channels in this arena that they're never going to get recommended. And if it wasn't for Anthony pointing this out to me about 18 months ago, when obviously we were being overtly told you're going to be cobbled. So Anthony then started pointing out what the direct consequences were, and I hadn't really appreciated it until he pointed it out. So I think it was Roxanne, the globalist denier. I didn't know who she was. She's like completely up my street. She does exactly what I do. She's exposing information that I didn't necessarily know about to people I don't know, and that's obviously right up my street. I haven't got a clue who she was. Why? Well, because she hasn't been recommended to me. So if it wasn't for Anthony sharing Roxanne the Globalist Denier's channel with me, I wouldn't know who she was. And that's tragic. She's in my bloody community. She's a videographer in my community. Part and parcel of being a good YouTuber, according to them, is collaboration with people in your arena. I don't even know who they are, because they aren't even recommended to me. Shout out to FE News. I miss Arwin saying the Globies.
Sorry, but I'm not really saving them. I'm just like saying, no, it'll be all right. Just let the wound heal. That's I don't really save them.
No, this isn't. It's gone beyond flesh wounds now, though. It's got to the point where they're chopping their own heads off with chainsaws and holding their heads up to us, going, "Look how well we've done. Look at my severed head."
Yeah, it'll be all right. It'll be all right.
Yeah, they're coming in and literally they're kamikazeing their way into the debate. It's so comical at the moment. Refraction. No, stop with your mantra. That's not helping you. Refraction.
Next one. Good times.
That gap was for Sleeping Warrior to tell us all about how we should be promoting each other, but he's clearly playing World of Warcraft.
What? Really? I don't think he plays World of Warcraft, does he? I think it's Command and Conquer. That's what he always was playing before.
Same thing.
Let's ask him next time.
Just trying to offend gamers. Same thing.
Well, I'm into a game as well at this moment, but I on purpose don't want to share it with everyone because
Flat
it's
Earth
extremely addictive.
A Flat Earth game. I saw someone playing
No.
a Flat Earth game. It had us
Well-
in it as characters. Have you seen that?
Actually, that's kind of funny that you mention it because it's kind of fantasy style and it does not have any globe input whatsoever. Although it's not about that. So, but
Okay.
even like the maps, the lands that you look on the overview map, yeah, it's all pretty flat. But then again, even the games from Civilization, the Civilization game series, which I've been playing for a long time, like since the 90s, their modern updated versions, they are all flat rectangular looping maps.
So what?
All of them.
So what?
Hmm?
So what?
Of the earth that you play on in that game.
That's lovely in that game.
Yeah. Right. But when you look at it, just look at it. It's all rectangular looping. All of it.
Is
They're
this,
not showing you a globe. No. It's amazing.
Is this post Black Swan downtime for flat earthers to catch up on their games? Because no one in Discord is coming. No ballers who want to talk this morning.
I tell you what, FE News has just reminded me of some dark times. Although, out of crap sprouts roses. So, FE News says, thank you very much for the super chat, by the way, FE News. I miss Arwen versus Tony on Gravity as an aberration. 100 plus episodes. Yeah, 100 plus episodes. Getting to the conclusion. I mean, speaking of Gravity, I'm going to re-release the argument we had yesterday because Tony, glad you've reminded me, FE's News. If he was listening, I'd actually apologise to him because there's a little brief moment at the start of the clip I've cut out from yesterday's epic, really long debate. It's about maybe 40 minutes long, I think. Anyway, at the start, I can hear Tony trying to get a word in. And at the end of a very elongated taking apart of the claim of scientific evidence in the form of the Cavendish experiment, Tony's like, you could have ended that really swiftly. And I just thought, I was just saying that. He's like Mr. Hindsight. But as I say, I know just from the few stutterings and utterings that I heard from his mic that he was going to slip that on it right at the beginning. So I didn't hear it when it happened. But now I know, had he have got his chance to speak and I shut him down and asked the guest to speak and lay out his scientific evidence for the Cavendish, that would have been a very short conversation. So I just wanted to... He's not even here to... He's not acknowledged a word I've said. Anyway...
I do think it would have went that route had the guy not said Cavendish. If he had just said gravity, because you know me, that would have been my question. What's gravity? What are we talking about? But because he said Cavendish, that's why we went down the route of him saying that Cavendish was actually a scientific experiment.
It's ridiculous. Cavendish
But
is like the ultimate.
had he done that, yeah, we would have nipped that in the bud, I think, real quick. Because, yeah.
I think that the supposed Cavendish experiment is one of the most ridiculous things. Like, it's not even an experiment. What is said about it, it does not do. It is completely pointless. It's a completely conceptual, correlational comparison. It's all it's not an experiment, not any form of experiment, not even of what it's supposed to do. It is such a giant red herring, that whole thing. It's ridiculous. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do what they say it does. It doesn't prove anything. Anything it's supposed to prove is already pre-assumed. It's ridiculous, the whole thing.
Plus, he wasn't trying to figure out G. He was trying to figure out the density of the Earth. I don't know why this is brought up when gravity is spoken about anyway. It's fucking stupid.
Look at the Sean Hawkins being triggered in chat.
No way. FE News says, thank you, Nathan. Thank you for the show. Been here since tracking the sun. I shared my sun with you. I did not know that, Flat Earth News. Wow, cool. For those of you who are unaware, maybe a year into my flat Earth career, if you want to call it that, I did something. I thought it was pretty cool. We'll see from the panel after I explain what it was. Called Tracking the Sun on a Flat Earth Live. And we asked people to capture their sunrise, sunset and solar noon from their locations live with mobile telephones or whatever device they've got that they can get out and get an internet connection and basically film their sunrise, sunsets and solar noons. So we were literally tracking the sun live as it moved around our flat plane because I didn't know what the sun was and I thought that's the best way to do it. So with the help of a fairly substantial number of people who either tuned in or actually joined live, they shared the data with us and we got it all down. It's like 48 hours, not non-stop. We did 2 separate sessions, but 2 separate 24-hour non-stop sessions of tracking the sun through its entirety.
How long ago was that, Nate? That's
probably 4 years ago.
Yeah. And getting your stick out in the garden.
Yeah, risky times. I mean, back then, what I used to do, it's no more, but we used to have Google Hangouts on air, and it had a link, and if you were very careless, you'd accidentally show the link to the Hangout, and people would then be able to join random members. But I was encouraging random members of the public to join, so I was literally giving out the link to the public, going, here's the link, like totally against all rules. And I was like, no, it's worth the risk. At that point, I wasn't a particularly massive channel in any event, but big enough to, warrant concern. And I set up management for the channel so that other people could join on my account as a channel manager and run the show for a period. I ended up just staying up for the full 24 hours, but I did arrange for other channel managers to be able to run the show and mooch and boot people who joined. And it had all the usual porn bombing and horrendous stuff happening and, a lot of fun by the same token and a lot of decent information gathered. And I can now say, I've got really great categorical things I can say about the sun now, like I haven't got the vaguest idea what it is, where it is, or what it does. Isn't that useful?
Brilliant.
So useful. Yeah, good to know. Thank you for the super chat, Flat Earth News. I'm going to stick up the latest and greatest evidence to support the Black Swan argument. So this has just been created by Quantum Eraser. Let's get it framed a bit nicer.
Nathan?
Yes?
What was the conclusion of the sun spotting hangout that you did? What did you come to the conclusion? Was it consistent with what you expected? Were there inaccuracies? What was the conclusion?
There was 2 inaccuracies with timeanddate.com. It was out by an hour on 2 occasions, 1 on each of the events. So time and date.
Was it just refraction?
It's just out by an hour. No, not really. I mean, it wasn't as helpful as I would have hoped, but, what are you going to do?
Go back to the ball?
Well, no, I was long off the ball by that point. There was nothing in that event that was going to prove flatness or disprove sphericity. It was merely, when I say things that seem flippant, like, I've got no idea what the sun is. Now, for most people, that may seem flippant, but by the same token, I've spent plenty of time looking into what it is and what it does. So the fact that I can declare I don't know, that might not be satisfactory for somebody who's got an explanation currently with a 93 million mile distance and an R value to assume it on. Well, I don't care. I don't have a just so story to offer, although I have tried to acquire one. I've tried to investigate it. Paula's the same. She spent plenty of hours with solar filters looking at the sun and studying what it does. I've watched all her videos. I've discussed it with her. Is she any closer to knowing what the sun is? Is she heck? I'm sure she would quite happily... I hope she isn't going to disagree with that when she comes on next. But I'm pretty sure she'd just say, oh, well, I'm no closer to knowing what it is. But I've looked at it very closely. So this is the latest evidence. Again, it's BLMSB69. So big shout out to you. This is still from his video taken in 2017. So, bye-bye, ball. The platform C, 6.08 miles, and then platform habitat at 10.10 or 10.1 miles. Maximum observer height, 8 foot. Max distance to geometric horizon on a sphere, 3.46 miles. Probably see the little arrows pointing at the apparent, redundantly being used currently by fundy morons, horizon in the background. Their version of apparent, meaning non-geometric, non-physical, refracted into a position where it is geometrically incapable of being on a physical geometric sphere. Excellent work. Excellent imagery. Hey, that's cool. Well, I do.
Hey Anthony, when you got to beg the question with gravity, ask them whether it's a push or pull force and see what they say when you're begging the question with them.
Ask them if it's a push or a pull force.
Yes, because Newton.
Well, we know it's an effect, so it can't be either a push or a pull. It's an effect. It's the consequence of a push or a pull.
Oh, I know, but there's a contradiction within their model or within different understanding. Newton's model of gravity is it's a pull, but in Einstein it's a push. So
Yeah.
it violates the law of non-contradiction.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's the other way to describe it is in Newtonian principles, it's a force or a cause. In Einsteinian, it's a consequence or an effect. Same argument, it's just worded slightly differently, but you're right, it's the opposing argument for Einstein. Oh, Rumpus has just said, oh, Jesus, all forces are effects of some cause. Yeah, that's right. So what causes the curvature of space-time? Well, thankfully, Einstein defined it for us, and he told us that the curvature of space-time was caused by the uneven distribution of mass. You know, like planets and big things that got lots of mass and all that kind of meteorites and cosmic dust and black energy and dark energy and pink energy and unicorn energy and all that matter, that uneven distribution of matter is what causes the curvature of space-time, which is lovely. It's lovely poetry, as Max Planck would describe, when it lacks experiment. But it doesn't really tell us what Isaac Newton's apple that fell on his head, how that started moving, does it? It tells us how planets move and all that stuff in that region we can't go to, but it doesn't tell us how the apple moved. So
I do, though.
How does the apple move?
I do. In conclusion to yesterday's video, I'm going to release that. So when this live show finishes, I'm going to spam a link to it. It's all rendered now, so I might as well release it. So as soon as the live show finishes, I'll stick a link in the chat box and I'll premiere the discussion on Cavendish, the gravity discussion. So that was concluded with a description of forced disequilibrium in the form of an apple growing out of equilibrium with a stem that breaks and then returns to equilibrium. So that was summarised at the end of that discussion. I will release it after this show finishes when we go to the after show for us guys. So we won't be with you in the chat.
Rumpus. Hello, Rumpus in chat. Come on.
Yeah, come on, Rumpus. Come and tell us how Einstein's curvature of space-time caused by...
Here, Rumpus.
I was going to say you're beckoning him like a dog. Well, actually, that's quite appropriate.
He says, oh, Jesus, all forces are effective for some cause.
Right, just do a few more shout-outs. FE News says, Dr. Zach has the delta from that tracking the sun. Yes, there was a fair few people, not just Dr. Zach, who did a bit of extrapolation work on it. I should have credited them. Thank you very much for reminding me, FE News. So yeah, check out Dr. Zach. Also, JK, thank you very much for the super chat. Phil Bell, quit being a coward and just join the panel. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. And also James Richard, Globies equal a satanic worldview which has manifested itself into reality through the minds of men, bringing about the very world we have today. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat, James Richard.
Come
You
on,
guys bored?
Rumpus. Come on and tell Nathan how he doesn't even know what an equilibrium is. Come on.
I'm sharing a show. I'm hoping you'll talk amongst yourselves.
Well, he's actually, yeah, the live stream's pretty full. If Rumpus wanted to come in, he'd have to go on the after show, and someone would have to move him in. If he wants to join, that's what he'd have to do.
He says the Discord panel is full.
I guess you didn't hear what I just said.
Tell him to enter the after show, and I'll hook him up.
Office gets the hook up. Come on, Rumpy.
Another shout out to FE News. Phil Bell does not know the scientific method. He won't join the show. Thank you very much for the super chat, FE News.
Remember
Phil
that thing we
Bell, the
talked
one
about?
who conducted an experiment on his blackboard, or whiteboard, I should say. Full experiment, but on a whiteboard. Okay.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm interrupting anything. I just got back, but I could talk about something if you guys are bored.
Yes, that'd be very helpful.
Okay, remember the thing we talked about yesterday? And how I said, like, I think there was a miscommunication of somewhat. Well, I guess.
Hold on, just for clarity, are you talking about the subject matter that was discussed in regards to trolls, or trolls themselves, and your attitudes to them? Which one?
No, the one demonstration about the sun and its movement, or the moon and its movement.
Okay, yeah, the argument. Yeah, I get it. Go ahead.
Okay, I can. Okay, let me present quick. Share screen.
Yeah, you mean the direction it's moving in, or
Yeah,
it's
but
well.
it's basically because they're ignoring perspective. Really, what's going on? All right, here we go. I'm just gonna try to scrub through this. Can you move what?
Ignoring perspective, you say?
Yeah,
Really?
hold on.
Walls do that? That's new to me.
Anyways,
Not really.
I'll scrub through this video and I'll show you exactly how it matches perspective. Remember how I said like the moon moving like this if you're in the northern hemisphere, if you look west, and then if you're in the southern hemisphere and you look west, it goes like this, it sets like this. And he demonstrates this by putting a camera on a globe and then having an iPod next to it, right? And as he moves in the northern hemisphere up and down, it goes like this, right? Like diagonally, it sets diagonally down this way. But if he's in the southern hemisphere with the camera, it sets diagonally this way on the iPad. And basically, that's just hide this. Where's my picture? Basically, that's just like this hallway. Like imagine if you're in the northern hemisphere, the left wall would be the equator, right? And if the sun is at the equator setting down, it looks like that, exactly the same as in the iPad. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, then this wall would be the equator, and the sun on top of the equator would set like that. So that's all they're doing is they're just replacing perspective or emitting perspective, so to say. And that was the clarification to the argument. You got to watch the video. I don't want to watch it to get Nathan to strike, but just watch the video and then match it to this picture. And that's all it is. It's just ignoring perspective, really. And that's all I got to say. Questions?
Could you share that video and masturbate them so I can watch it later?
Yeah, hold on. All right, I'm going to stop sharing first.
Ignoring perspective? Wow.
Say it isn't so.
That was my reaction. Like, what? Surely you just. Paul is ignoring perspective. Well, I never.
Anyways, it's in Master B. I'll post it in Discord too. Anyways, that's all I had to say.
Well,
Okay.
isn't their answer to the black swan that they do believe in perspective now?
Well, they're talking about everything being apparent, but they don't realise that in order to account for things being apparent, i.e. the optical nature, as opposed to geometric, then they'd need to take into account things like the apparent sizes. That's what I held Professor whatever the hell, Dave, to account on when he's asking us to see for 1,000 miles. It's like, well, that's a very screwy way of asking a question that highlights your model's lack of perspective, because according to you, you look over 1,000 miles and there's too much Earth curve in the way. In reality, that effect is things getting too small into the distance, angular size reduction. Things are too small to see at 1,000 miles. You can't see New York because it's too small. Well, he thinks it's because there's too much Earth curve in the way, but his model doesn't include perspective. So when he asks us, well, show us something at 1,000 miles away, what? Why? Because your model would show it if it was flat in your model as opposed to curved in your model. You would see it. Well, yeah, because you use Muppet vision, side-on view, and it doesn't matter what the value you draw between target and observer is. You can write whatever value you like on it. 10-foot wall and man looking at it, and then the line between, you draw a straight line on your Muppet vision representation, and you write 10 metres on it. Well, the wall's still 10 foot, or let's call it a 10 metre wall and a 10 metre distance. Well, let's say you put it at 1,000 kilometres. Well, it's still the same values. It's still a 10-foot wall. So in your Muppet vision depiction, because you've written 10,000 on it instead of 10, well, the distance has massively increased, but the value of the actual target hasn't changed at all in size. It's still represented as 100 metres. Well, its angular size is vastly reduced at those distances. But a Muppet vision representation, otherwise known as orthographic side elevation, won't show you a perspective change as you increase the distance. Well, what you will call things getting too small to see is Earth curve. Doesn't mean that we've got to justify seeing things at 1,000 miles because you ignore perspective, is my point. You being fundy globeheads who think they're on a sphere based on an R value that gives them a geometric horizon they don't have, thanks to the black swan.
Right. So prior to the black swan, it was a geometric Earth curve. After black swan, they lost it. It's not there.
Guys, getting ahead of yourselves, because at the very best, all you've done here is destroy the radius.
At very best, we've destroyed the foundation of heliocentric belief. At best, we've destroyed that completely at its foundations. Yeah, that's at best. At best, it's the end of globe religion. Yeah, at best.
Thank you, Mr. Sensible, for a great quote. Appreciate that, buddy.
I've been spamming the link to the show that I'll post from yesterday's mega bumper uncut and after show. So it originally went out on Nathan Oakley channel. There's also a link in the info box if you're not already subscribed to my second channel, which is where, as I say, uncut and after show typically goes out on a daily basis. Yesterday's show was very heavily extended, and I've chunked out already the response to Professor Dave, and now I've chunked out another discussion in regards to the scientific or claimed to be scientific evidence of gravity. Lots of the Ballbusters team were there to thrash it out with your average Joe who came in to challenge us based on his total misunderstandings about what science actually is. So that's all discussed, as I say, after this show. I've scheduled it for 3 PM UK time, which is 10 minutes from now if you're watching live. So be here or be sphere, same channel, Nathan Oakley 1980. Scientific Evidence of Gravity is the title of the video. Check it out. Are you guys looking at the live stream?
It really did feel like throwback yesterday, because because I wasn't looking at the screen, but Huey was writing down everything that the guy was saying as far as the scientific experiment known as Cavendish. Like, wow, this is really a throwback episode right now. It's great.
I'm still wondering how you misplace physical things that were there before and not there now? Do they just disappear, physical things?
You're being unfair. These physical things I know you are referring to aren't physical, they're reifications. They're assumed physical things that have been reified into existence based on models and geometry. That doesn't mean that those physical things suddenly vanish. They were never physical to begin with, merely conjured into existence by the mind's eye of the person reifying it. So when that thing has been demonstrated to be a reification, making that which is not concrete actual, then it stops being a reification. You stop conceptualizing it as being concrete and actual, where it never was to begin with.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to understand that.
You'll be waiting a long time. They think gravity's a force.
Quite a while.
Yeah, you'll be waiting a while. But they, in your reference, is the people at trench level, as opposed to the audience, who I'm sure followed along perfectly happily. Some of them.
They reified something physical that from the beginning was never physical. Then when tested on the physicality of it and proof that they lack because of the black swan, now they say, all you did was prove the radius is wrong. So they still hang on to their globe, but their globe just got much bigger. And they're not ashamed of such nonsense.
As I say, I like it. Them coming here chopping their own heads off, I'm all for that.
There isn't a human being alive that wouldn't agree that things get smaller at distance. And yet they fight that commonly known fact every time we're on the subject.
That's cognitively painful for them, not for us, and hopefully not for our audience.
Well, I'm sure if you ran up on anybody, right, or, average Joe Coffee in the street and asked them, is level curved? They would look at you like you had three heads, right? Everybody knows that that's not the case, but until you get into this argument, all of a sudden now you have to say things like level is curved, it's like this argument makes people have to think things that normally they would not, which makes no sense. It's like everybody knows you can see higher, you can see more the higher you get. Like, that's a thing. Doesn't necessarily have to prove that you live on a ball. All of a sudden you get into this argument, now that very thing proves you live on a ball. It makes no sense. That's why they say you can climb a tree. That proves you live on a ball. Really?
Yeah, they're just not really working on the really is level.
Well, you can, in their mind's eye, you can climb a tree to see further on a ball because the geometric horizon they believe they're looking at is apparent based on height. That's why they say climb a tree, because they've reified the horizon into a physical geometric sphere edge. Based on height, you'll see further. That's their geometry. That's why when they say apparent, it's redundant. Geometric horizon is also apparent based on height.
Further than what? A point that we've never seen anyway?
It's just a matter of fact when it comes to geometry. If you're holding a basketball in front of you and you've got a GoPro camera on it and you raise the camera up, you'll see further around the edge of that sphere edge that was obscuring your view prior to you raising the camera up. Well, that's still well within the bounds of physical geometry. That's where they're getting the tangent line from. Not a bent tangent line, I might add.
Nathan, Chris Berry's just put a message in chat and he says, at the Rumpus, check out my latest video. You are featured in it. For some reason, that needed to be checked, to be released. I don't really see anything wrong with it. Can you see anything wrong with it and fix it? Because that should have gone through. Secondly, I've got a rather interesting update to tell people. There's an absolute mong on their side, and it's something like Fight the Flat Girth or something like that. I can't quite remember his name.
Fight the tight shirt.
Fight the tight shirt. That's the guy. And he's been telling people for the longest of times that gravity is a force. And he picked up on a citation that Quantum Eraser gave me, and then decided to create a one-man band vendetta against me for the longest of times. But now, apparently, somebody sent me a link with him in one of his latest videos, and he now concedes that gravity is an effect. And he wants to debate me, and he wants to debate red pill philosophy. Now, the problem he's got is, I'm not sure what he wants to debate us on, but the problem he's got is, how many people has that guy told that gravity is a force that have gone away and been in chat arguing against us, saying things like gravity is a force? And now he's like finally conceding, right? So basically, on anybody on our side, if you ever hear Fight the Flat Earth referring to gravity as a force anymore, do let me know, because I'd like to use it against him, given that he now seems to have changed his tact and accepted that gravity is not a force. But if he regresses and go backwards, let me know, because I think it'll only last for a couple of days.
Right on.
There was something else about Fight the Flat Earth, and I can't remember what it was now, but it'll come to me.
In regards
I remember.
to Mr. Sensible?
It was something to do with red pill philosophy.
Well, while you're trying to jog your brain for that, on the show that's about to go out, so it goes out top of the hour, a few minutes' time, at the beginning, there's a little rustling and rumble from you that I know, from knowing you well, was your moment to say, let's just end this now by defining what gravity is. But you didn't get a chance because I didn't hear your rumblings. And I just encouraged the guest to go ahead with his scientific evidence of gravity. And at the end, you highlighted, I would have just ended this. And I didn't, until I listened to it back to edit it, to re-release it, realise that you absolutely had, without having to have said anything, Anthony, your moment was there. And I give you props. It was definitely there.
And the bizarre thing is, now you're talking about it in that context, I remember trying to get in, and you'd keyed up like a millisecond before I had, and the gate had opened on you. But it was a bit like sliding doors, because if the sliding door would have gone the other way and I'd have got through instead of you, then we wouldn't have had that conversation. It'd have stopped there and then.
Well, it's a kind of hard one to call which is better. Is it better that it ended up being an hour-long discussion about the lack of scientific evidence attributed to the Cavendish experiment, or would it have been better as a 2-minute example that shows that you can kill it right in its face? Right. Well, personally, I've got to be honest. I think the latter. I think had you have managed to get your murmurs in, I'd have been more satisfied. I wouldn't have a video to re-release now, but it doesn't change the fact that you were absolutely right. You know, you can end these. I prefer to end the arguments quickly.
It depends, though. It's like the killer whale, the orca, doesn't look at the seal pup and think, should I play with my food before eating it? Should I just play with it and then swim away from it and just leave it? Or should I just swim by? And we have the choice. We can decide whether we swim by and let it go, or should we play with the food before we eat it? Or just play with it and kill it and then just leave it. And sometimes you just play with it and leave. Other times you just let them go with it. Because, I mean, how many things do we let them get away with, like, just because we want the conversation to progress? It's nice to be in the privacy.
Yeah, I would have been right there with you. But you were trying to say, I heard you cutting in, and I was going to come in with the same thing. Like, what's gravity? What are you talking about? Before he got into, his evidence of gravity was the Cavendish. That's why I kind of stopped it afterwards, because I was just like, we haven't done this in a while. So maybe it is good to go with the Cavendish and destroy this for old time's sake, real quick. For anybody,
it's weird because
the guy was obviously new, right?
Yeah,
he was obviously new. He hasn't done this before.
It's weird because whoever opens the mic and gets the key on them, right? You can tell which way the conversation's going just by how they word or phrase certain key points. So if it happens to open on Nathan and he says something like, "Oh yeah." So which is the non-inertial reference frame? You just think, right, I know which way this is going. I'll go make a brew because it's going to be a while.
And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. If you're watching this live, I've been spamming the chat with a premiering stream that's going to start immediately after this live stream in the next minute or so's time. So be here or be sphere for Gravity. As I say, a massive thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Stay tuned if you are watching on the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!